What do you think about electric cars?
They are good for cutting emissions, but how do we make electric car? We've got to use a big battery, right?
That's it, lithium.
And how do we make lithium? We have to mine it, don't we?
Yes.
And mining and producing batteries produces a lot of carbon dioxide. If we'd started electric cars maybe in the 1980s, it wouldn't be a good idea. But now we are so almost out of time with this problem that we can't afford to make how many billions of cars? We can't afford to start mining billions of tons of lithium and producing all this more CO2 so we can stop releasing CO2. The problem of climate change is now it's like on the last chance. We need to be really smart now. Humanity needs to come together and really use its brains to solve this problem. I believe the more people who hear about this problem, then the more brains are working on solving the solution. But unfortunately, mining billions of tons of methane for billions of electric cars is not going to work. It'll produce too much carbon to make all the electric cars. And we need to stop what we need to do as a planet now, we need to stop acting as like 160 different countries and start acting like one planet. Because the truth is, we are all the same species, we are all human, we all have thoughts and feelings, and we are all on the same planet. And if we're going to save this planet, it's about one thing, it's about carbon emissions and methane emissions. Those emissions need to fall down to zero and then go past zero where we're carbon negative, where the whole world is taking more carbon than it's releasing. And we can do that using nature. You know, soil and nature and biodiversity, a rich biodiversity, takes carbon from the atmosphere better than any machine that any government can build.
So we should all work together and try and help this carbon emissions problem.
So the raising of cattle and cows
produces
1/3, 33% of all global emissions for heating. Because we raise billions and billions and billions of cows, which produce a lot of methane, so we can have burgers. But we also cut down forests. From all the land where the biodiversity is taking carbon out of the atmosphere, we are cutting that away and destroying it to raise cows. So like I said before, in Brazil right now, the people of Brazil who are poor, they can only make money by expanding more land and getting more cows to sell the cows for the money so they can feed their children. This is a country acting on its own, but the forest that they cut down is more valuable to us as a planet. So we need to reorganize the wealth on the entire planet. For example, in Brazil, we need to pay those same farmers money to plant the forest and make the forest bigger. So they get more money from building the forest than destroying it. In Africa, where nations are still developing and still undergoing their industrial revolution, we need to go there and teach them and provide financial support. China has to do this, England has to do this, the United Nations, European Union, United States, all the countries with money in the world need to go to the poor countries and give them a way to have a good standing of living that's renewable with solar power. So if all these people start burning coal and gas now, the fight to stop runaway climate change is lost. So the rich countries have to pay and build the poor countries. Otherwise, we have to. Every human being on this planet, every government on this planet, has to pull in the same direction. And if we don't do that, if one country like China or one country like the United States or the European Union says no, then the fight for all of humanity is lost. And with it, we will lose the Earth's climate, which provides to us everything that we need to survive. It provides all the rain and water. The soils and healthy biosphere in the soils provides the nutrients to grow our food, that are food in our shelves. All the fish, the oceans when they are healthy and respected, it provides food from the oceans to feed people. But we're risking pushing that system off an edge, which it will never recover. And if we do that, it's equivalent of like a house of cards. When you stack cards up like a pyramid like this, and you take cards out, the whole thing comes down. And human civilization, all of human civilization, is sat on the top level. The only reason human civilization has been possible for the last 10,000 years is because the climate has been stable. Because we've had a stable climate with predictable seasons, where the rain comes the same time every year. The sun comes the same time every year for the same temperature. All the plants and all the animals depend on this balance. And that balance is now breaking. And we are humanity. When I say we, I say humanity. I have been arrested 25 times at this point. I have spent 5.5 months in prison. I got arrested in Insulate Britain and Just Power blocking the roads 25 times and spent all this time in prison for one reason. When I tell you as an individual, whoever you are in the world seeing this, that this is an emergency and your children's lives depend on humanity solving this emergency, when I tell you that I did all those things so that you would believe me, when I bring this message to you, when I bring this message to all the people on my podcast as well, that you believe me, because I would not have thrown away that great career and all that money for no reason. Now, I'm not a scientist, so please do yourself a favour and look on the internet for the real scientists. Look at the United Nations. Look at the IPCC, which is the International Panel on Climate Change. Look at the International Energy Agency, who are in charge of the energy that the Western world uses. Look at David Attenborough. David Attenborough is a well-respected expert on nature. Look at what he has said recently. See, it's not just me and my friends saying this, it is the world scientist. And if this piques your interest, please look that up. Thank you.